Hello everyone, this is Lance. This is Mahjong Tips 24, call reading, call as in like mails. So in this video, I'll be talking about how to read people's mails. Okay, so the thing is that sometimes it feels very stressful when people keep pong and ci, and like it's like their hand is moving very quickly, right? But your hand looks like shit. And if you got no tie, be it SG Mahjong or like Wiki, okay, if you cannot open your hand, then you feel very stressed because like people are advancing their hands very quickly, but you are like stuck there. So it's understandable that you feel very stressed, okay. But as this guy says, this guy is my idol by the way. As this guy says, when opponents keep calling what they can call, right, it actually becomes easier to read them. Okay, whenever a player opens the hand, their hand becomes like more when the more they reveal from about their hand, right, the easier it is for you to read their hands. Okay, if a player is totally menqing, right, then there's no way that you can tell for sure what he have in his hand. Okay, so the info is very limited if a person doesn't call. But if a person keeps pong and ci, you can start using some logic, right, to deduce what are the things remaining in his hand. Okay, so with regards to call reading, pay attention to a few um special discards, because like usually in a mahjong game you won't be paying too like a lot of attention to every single discard, especially in Singapore mahjong where all the discards are like thrown into the center of the table. Okay, and you can't even remember who throw what in Singapore mahjong. But some things you have to remember, some things you need to pay more attention, especially if people have very big hands, okay, be it like a lot of animals or flowers in Singapore mahjong or a lot of Dora in Ricci. Okay, then you should start paying attention to a few things. Firstly, what do they discard after calling a tile, after they make a mail of pong or ci, right? Okay, see what they throw, and then uh what they discard, what your opponents discard in the late game. Okay, especially from like within their hand. If they draw and throw, then it doesn't really give as much attention, doesn't give as much information to you as compared to a tile that they take from inside their hand. Okay, unless they are performing something called the same tile switch, which I did in another mahjong tips video. But otherwise, things that come out from their hand in the late game, right, you have to pay very close attention to that, and I'll explain that later. Okay, and some weird discards are like if people start breaking a lot of pairs or people start breaking sequences from their hand, then they are probably going for something irregular. Uh, maybe 半色, maybe 13爻if they're throwing all three suits, or even 七对 like in Richie, or if you're playing 七对 as a house rule, if they're discarding a lot of sequences, that means they just want to go for pairs. So it's either pong pong or 七对. Okay, then also pay attention to the if there's a dangerous player, right, like someone with a lot of tie, right, okay, pay attention to what the person sitting on his or her left is discarding. Okay, because the discards that come from the left of the dangerous player, right, it can be used as a last resort. Like you can use these discards as your safe discards if you're out of safe tiles to throw. Okay, because we always assume that if a person has a lot of tie already, right, then he will just ci or pong anything that he or she can get. Okay, so if he didn't eat something that come from the left hand side, right, that means that you can still throw. He doesn't have that set in his hand. Okay, but this one of course is not fully reliable because they can draw in the tiles that they need for that particular set. They can draw in later in the game, so this one should only be used as a last resort. Okay. Okay, let's talk about reading a chi, like a sequence based mail, right? So over here, if a person only has 7 tiles left, like this already caught twice, right? Then over here, what this player is aiming for, what can this player eat? Like 2 1 as well as 17 tong, right? If eat 251, then probably throw 6 tong, wait 4 tong. Unless that one die already. Okay, most of the time is wait 4 tong, right? Or if you eat 4 tong, you also throw 6 tong and wait 251. Okay, so the basic core reading, right? Either way, whatever the player eats here is going to throw 6 tong, right? Okay, so you need to consider this question: is the discard after a chi linked to the chi itself? Okay, like for example, if the player eat 251, okay, and discard 6 tong, then of course you have to pay attention, right? The player only has 4 tiles left. Okay, then if he eat 251 and then throw 6 tong, right? Then the 6 tong has nothing to do with the 251. I mean this 3-4 lah. Okay. So this 6 tong has nothing to do with the 1 zi, right? Then this 6 tong is linked to the weight of the hand, because otherwise why would he keep the 6 tong so long? Okay, very likely lah. So you would think of this player as weighting either 4-7 tong or 5-8 tong, could be 6-6-7 instead of 5. Okay, so basically the area around the 6 tong will become dangerous. Okay, because he eat the 251 and then discard 6 tong, which is a separate suit. It's not linked to the thing that he just 吃. Okay, but if he eat 4-7 tong here and discard 6 tong, then you won't be able to tell anything. Okay, because this whole the 6 tong is linked to the tile that he just caught 吃 on. Okay, so he can weight anything else. Okay, so actually there are some players who choose to discard this 6 tong earlier. Okay, so that they can hide information about their final weight. Okay, but you also you also want to pong the 6 tong and 八索, right? So normally if you want to like discard the 6 tong early, right, to disguise your weight, you lose efficiency, you lose tile efficiency. So it really depends on the situation. So what is a good situation you will discard this 6 tong earlier to disguise the weight, right? Would be for example, if you are doing the no flower 平湖. Okay, if you are doing the no flower 平湖, then you are not going to pong the 八索 and 6 tong. So there is no reason for you to keep this 6 tong in your hand for so long. Okay, it's just a matching tile trap, which is another of the Mahjong tips video. Okay, so if you are doing a no flower 平湖, right, in SG Mahjong, and you know that players are going to read you after you eat one more time, and then they are going to look at what you're going to throw next, right? Then you should not be keeping this 6 tong until you 听牌. You should have discarded this 6 tong much earlier if you are only going for a sequence based hand. Okay, let's move on to reading a pong. So same thing over here. This player, whether he pong 6 tong or 八索 to 听牌, right, waiting on 251, either pong will result in this player throwing the 5 tong. Okay, and whether he pong 6 tong or 八索, the final weight has nothing to do with the 5 tong that is discarded. Just now we still can consider for reading a 吃, right? We still can consider whether the tile that he discarded is linked to the set that he just reviewed by eating, right? Okay, but over here after a pong, the tile discarded here has nothing to do with the final weight. Okay, of course it could be like I could change this 5 tong to maybe a 4-1. Then he discards 4-1, then if he pong and then discards 4-1, is waiting 251. Okay, but in this case over here, you see that the tile here discarded here has nothing to do with the final weight. You are going to discard 5 tong after a pong. So reading a pong is impossible, as in you cannot make a conclusive judgment. Okay, unless there are other tells that the player is giving or other information on the table. But otherwise, a basic pong, right, you cannot read information from it. Okay, let me go through an example, an example of a scenario for this core reading. Let's say this player has made 2 males, 1231 and Hong Zhong. Okay, and just assume that this player is very big. Like in Singapore Mahjong, maybe he got a lot of flowers and animals, or in Richie, assume that Hong Zhong is a Dora. So either way, this player is going to just go full efficiency and win his big hand as fast as possible. Okay, and you need to start paying attention to the tiles that he's discarding after he made each of the males. Okay, let's say this player pong an 二锁, okay, and then discard a 八筒. So now he only left 4 tiles in his hand, right? So this 八筒 is likely to be, like, let's say this one is maybe middle or late game lah. So this 八筒 is likely to be related to the rest of the to the final weight lah, because he only has 4 tiles left and he keep this 八筒 so long. Okay, look for other information on the table. Let's say that the player on, like this dangerous player, right? The player on his left just discarded 七筒, and this player didn't call the 七筒. Okay, whether it's for 吃 or pong, but there was no reaction to the 七筒. But now after he pong 二锁, he discard 八筒. Okay, so what we need to do here is to go through all the possible hands that this, all the possible scenarios that this 八筒 can be linked to the hand. Okay, so there are 9 cases here which involve the 八筒. I think it covers everything. So you just see the player to the left discarded 七筒. If it's number 1, right, then he can eat the 七筒, but there was no reaction. Okay, number 2 cannot eat 七筒. Number 3, 4, 6, 8 can eat 七筒. 4 also can, 5 also can, 6 can pong 七筒. Okay, 8 and 9 also can eat 七筒, because 8 like example 8 and example 9, right, the 八九筒 you can eat 七筒. So there are only 2 of these cases which cannot eat, which cannot meld the 七筒. So it's number 2 and number 6. Sorry, number 2 and number 7. Yeah, number 2 and number 7. Okay, but number 2 discarding the 八筒doesn't, it's a bit weird, like what become what 单调七筒. So we will consider number 7. Okay, 7, 8, 8, he didn't 吃 or 碰 the 七筒. So after that he discard 八筒. So this one we have to be very suspicious of the 六九筒 weight. Okay, so you consider all the scenarios which are possible, and then you deduce, right, that this player, the most dangerous, because he only has 4 tiles left, okay, the most dangerous tiles is the 六九筒. Okay, that's the most likely weight for this player. Okay, what if I were to change this scenario slightly? Instead of discarding 八筒, this player discard 七筒. But again, earlier he had no reaction to 七筒. Okay, so applying what we just went through just now, and like for example in the basic weight reading video that I did last time, I say that the last tile that a player discard, right, from the hand is likely to be linked to the tile that the player to the player's 听牌 shape. Okay, but so in this case if the last thing that the player take from the hand is 七筒 after 碰 the 二锁, right, then you are likely to suspect the 五八筒 as well as the 六九筒, right? Because the last thing that he took out from his hand is 七筒. Okay, but actually this is a misconception, because in this scenario I talked about how this player had no reaction to the 七筒. For this player to discard discard 七筒 and then wait 五八筒 or 六九筒, right, it means that this player already had something like number 6 here, where he had 2 七筒 in the first place, and then he can discard 七筒 and wait 六九筒. Or another case would be like 6, 7, 7. Okay, but these 2 cases are not possible because this player did not call pong on the 七筒 earlier to 听牌. Okay, so you cannot think, right, just because this player discard a 七筒from the hand, therefore he must be waiting in the area is 五八筒 or 六九筒, because there are other information on the table, like he didn't react to a 七筒 that just appeared, so he doesn't have 2 七筒 in the hand. So the 五八筒 and 六九筒 is not possible. So in this case, what can you deduce about the hand? It's likely to be number 7 as well. Okay, so number 7, he cannot 吃 or 碰 the 七筒, right? Okay, then after he 碰 the 二锁, he discard 七筒. That means that the 八筒 became the 眼睛, and then he could be waiting somewhere else. Okay, if he's waiting 山坡 对碰 then 八筒 is the most suspicious weight. Okay, so the number 1 most dangerous tile is 八筒, and if it's the eye, then he could be waiting anything else. Then you cannot narrow it down to 筒子 weight. because it could be anything else. The 八筒 is the 眼睛. Okay. Okay, you might want to rewind this scenario back and like go through the entire thing again. In case like I blew your mind or something. But I think I explained this as clearly as I could. Okay, and it should be quite logical. Okay. Okay, then one more thing about the core reading. This is another video that I did last time called the weight improvements. Okay, so just a recap. Like for example, this hand the player is already weighting 7. Okay, but this player can further improve the hand in a few ways. Either 吃251 and then throw 8 or eat 471 and then throw 8. Okay, or you can also pong 6 but as I said just now, a pong, right, is harder to is impossible to read. So pong 6 you won't be able to get any information. But the eating eating tiles in this case, right, gives off a lot of information. Like for example, if you eat 471, right, and discard 8, then you will find it very suspicious because with so few tiles left, why would he keep a 5, 6, 8? So therefore the 8 must have been related to the hand, and you can deduce that he was already Ting Pai on the Kalong and he's eating this to improve the weight. Okay, then you would be suspicious about the 251. Okay, then there's a formula for the other one, which is the 251, right? If a player eats 25 and discard 8, right, then he's waiting on the 47. Okay, this one you can actually memorize. It's part of this standard shape here. Okay, maybe you experience a bit and then you get used to it. Okay, so yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye.